Hello YouTube and welcome to another episode of Behind the Wall presented by Perky Jerky. I'm Thermite 917 along with, as always, Kane Jr. 88 and Probo 43. We have a great show coming to you tonight. It was the Bristol race weekend, most notably the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race. Tyler was there, but first we have to get to the recap with Kane. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Thermite. Well, the race got off to a very hectic start as on lap number 2, Kyle Busch, who started in the 3rd position, got spun underneath Ryan Blaney. He hit the apron, blocked the track along the front straightaway at the start-finish line, and everybody piled in. Most notably, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Jesse Little pile drove into Kyle's right side, so did McDowell. It was a fucking mess. And all 12 cars were involved, and later on, Paul Menard, who started in the 4th spot and had driven his way up to 2nd, he began dropping several positions after the restart, after it was discovered that he had broke his right front suspension, before Menard finally just pancaked it into the outside wall, and his night was done. And this ended up leading up to a competition caution at lap number 60. Everybody pitted. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ended up getting the lead, but ended up getting busted for speeding on pit road. He ended up having to start at the tail end of the longest line. And it was pretty much caution-free all the way to the end of the stage at lap 125, where Ryan Blaney edged out Kevin Harvick by, take it away, Larry Mack, 3/1000ths of a second to take home the win in stage number 1. On the ensuing restart, Chase Elliott grabbed the lead on the high side and led a big chunk of the race before Kevin Harvick managed to start fighting him off for the lead. But that lasted for a while until on lap 185, Harvick had to make an unscheduled pit stop while running 2nd for a suspected flat tire, ended up falling 2 laps down. After that, David Reagan got spun out by Eric Almirola around lap 200, and after that, it was pretty much caution-free to the end of the stage where Joey Logano held off Chase Elliott to get the stage 2 win. But this caution was also notable because it allowed Kyle Busch, who had gotten himself to back within a lap down of the leaders, got the lucky dog, and was back on the lead lap. And then came a big moment of the race, lap 298. Chase Elliott got around Joey Logano for the lead using a slide jump.
Woo. That took that exit away.
Oh, you got a slide jump.
A little
Yeah,
slider right
all
here.
right.
A slider.
What a move. I like it.
Hey, all right, to take back the lead. And, well, he led for a total of 112 laps on the night. But moving on, lap 341, Eric Almirola. He was running inside the top 5 for a chunk of the night. He was running in 5th when he had some fluid start leaking from his car, and this prompted NASCAR to post his number on the board and give him the black flag, and therefore was forced to come to pit road and would finish in 31st. At 352, Reed Sorensen hit the wall with a flat right front tire. And on the ensuing pit stops, Clint Bowyer managed to pull out ahead of everybody, and he took the lead for a really long time. But then things start getting really hectic in the final 100 laps. On lap 432, Kyle Busch had managed to race his way up to the 3rd position after being as much as 2 laps down earlier in the race. He and Martin Truex Jr. were fighting for the 2nd spot when, well, Kyle came up just enough and clipped Martin in the left rear and sent the 78 spinning to the inside wall, where he came back up the track and just absolutely demolished J.J. Yaley's passing car. Both cars were destroyed, but thankfully both drivers were okay. Unfortunately, Martin was pissed as hell. He kicked his car, threw his Hans device back into the seat, and Sherry Pollux, Martin's girlfriend, wanted to kick Kyle's ass. Way to go, Sherry. We are all right there with you. And then lap 473, Brad Keselowski, he got for a spin, and this prompted a split strategy call by some of the leaders, and this set up a late race restart with 25 laps to go. Kurt Busch ended up grabbing the race lead from Clint Bowyer after Clint spun his tires, and that allowed Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and others to get by. And then 15 laps to go, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Chris Buescher were racing 3 wide. Buescher ended up getting squeezed with contact from both the 18 and the 48, and this led to a pretty significant tire rub on Kyle Busch's car that eventually destroyed the left rear tire and sent Kyle Busch spinning around in the turn. And then his night, after racing from the back to the front. He was all the way in the back again. He was done. He wound up finishing in the 20th spot. But in the end, it was his older brother, Kurt, who grabbed his first win of the season, and his 6th career win at Bristol. Has also snapped a 58-race winless drought dating back to last year's Daytona 500. Oh, yeah, and another race win diecast on the way from Lionel. So Kurt Busch pulls off the win. Kyle Larson came home second. Chase Elliott finished in the 3rd spot with Joey Logano in 4th. Eric Jones put together a solid race. He finished in the 5th position. Clint Boyer came home in 6th, followed by Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman in 8th, Jimmy Johnson in 9th, and Kevin Harvick rounding up the top 10. All right, gentlemen, let's hear your race ratings. We will start with the man who was there that night. Tyler, take it away.
Thank you, Kane. Yes, I was really giving some thought on what I wanted to give this race. It was a very good event, especially being there obviously always enhances the experience no matter where it's at. I gave the first race of the year at Bristol a 9. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do the same here. I do think that the racing was a little bit better in the spring. I think this one ends up being the exact same rating because even though maybe the finish wasn't quite as good or the racing was not quite the way it was in the spring, and there wasn't as much variety, I think, as you saw. I mean, you remember Bubba Wallace even got the lead in the spring race. You had a nice little variety here. I mean, 3 guys led 100 laps. There was 21 lead changes among 9 leaders, so that was pretty solid. I think that the biggest thing that this race gets over the spring one is, there wasn't any problems with the rain and delaying the race and postponing it to the day after. We had a little bit of threat, but that ended up not being a thing anyways. It was just a really, really solid race, and it had a little bit of everything, really. Attrition, bumping and banging, good racing, and a surprise winner with Kurt Busch, and I have no problems with how any of it turned out. So I'm certainly satisfied, and I'll talk more about it here in a bit. So, Nick, what's your race rating?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree and give it a 9 as well. Like you said, it had a little bit of everything. A lot of different leaders up front. The big 3 didn't dominate. They all had their own kind of problems. There was some adversity, some attrition. Maybe not quite as much as you would normally see at Bristol. I mean, there was the long green flag run near the middle to second half of it. But anything that might have been boring from a racing standpoint, you got to give it to Kyle Busch. Like him or hate him, he put on a heck of a show. Watching him trying to be the comeback story and then having his incidents and everything, it just pumps you up no matter what you think of him. So it definitely gave everyone something to talk about. This is what everyone's been hoping for, I think. Great racing. I'm happy with it. Kane, what is your rating?
I'm going to agree with the both of you, and I'm also going to give this race a 9. When the big 3 aren't the topic of discussion when the race is over, it was a good race. And that was certainly the case last night. You had the surprise winner in Kurt Busch. You had the 3 different drivers leading over 100 laps. And they're all guys that we actually like. Ryan Blaney, Clint Boyer, Chase Elliott. But you got to admit, even during the long green flag runs, there was still a lot of side-by-side racing, and like the top 4 or 5 cars were always bunched up together fighting for the same spot. So even if it was long after a restart, the action on the track was just as exciting. And I said this in the spring, but it's not the old Bristol, but I think you really should appreciate what this newer form of Bristol is definitely putting on. So it's a 9 for me.
Well said, guys.
Sounds good.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Well, of course, the topic of the week is Tyler being at the race. Oh, man, are we jealous. I'm sure he had a hell of a time, and he's going to tell us all about it. So, Tyler, take it away.
Oh, you are certainly right, Nicholas. I did have a hell of a time. My first ever trip to Bristol. I've been anticipating this for a long time, and it finally has happened. So, laying the groundwork, I knew last year that that's what was going to happen, that I was going to go to a Bristol race this year. Why? Because I was going to use my funny little $50 voucher from NASCAR Heat 2. Thanks a lot. At least this game's good for one thing. I drug my ass for the longest amount of time, finally redeemed the voucher, and I also want to say a special thanks to Thermite. And it's a little bit of a shame because I also have unfortunate news, because your voucher realistically was worth nothing, because unfortunately my buddy could not go because of the threat of rain, and he wasn't going to be able to stay if the race were to be postponed. So he took
Oh,
a
what a
gamble
bitch.
on it, and
Happy to help, though.
yes, so that's his own fault, and $45 out the drain. So a little bit of a hassle to get my own ticket, and yes, it was $45 ultimately, but hey, that's over half off with the $50 voucher, so that was already a nice thing before I even get there. The trip down there takes about 3 hours. You know, damn, it really is Thunder Valley, man. You know, with all them damn mountains. I drove the first bit there, freaking weavy, windy, all sorts of shit, but no issues, you know, standard driving shit. You know, we get there. Here's the issue with Bristol. So there is literally no free parking. It just seems like there isn't. Unless you're there super early, you're not really going to get into the free parking section. And it's funny, with all the open seats, you know, you would think that there would be a little more availability in parking. But no, of course not. And here's the first thing that really pissed me off. You see this right here? That's right, that's me flipping off a Toyota sign because there's a funny little free parking for Toyota cars. Are you kidding me? Bristol, you must be freaking crazy. That's right, premature straight
Damn
jacket.
Toyotas!
Exactly. Damn Toyota kissing everybody's ass trying to buy their love. You ain't buying my fucking love. I ain't buying no Toyota. But, oh, ew. Anyways, we had to park way down. Had to pay for parking. Like, seriously. Always chased my ass. Never liked paying for parking. At least it was cheap enough, and we did split it. But, you know, walked there. Did my normal souvenir shopping. Did very light. Honestly, it's like the same people that were at Charlotte every year. I mean, the person that I bought these diecast from, the same guy I buy from Charlotte all the time. I just recognize him. I know who it is. I mean, I got recognized by one of the other guys, too. Like, they know me. I'm a recognizable guy, you know? Definitely not. But it was actually kind of lame, really. There wasn't a whole lot of other people there or anything like that. Just, it's whatever. Thank you, little souvenirs. So before we even get to the track, it's about 5 o'clock, and what do you know? The rain comes, and it pours like hell for a good 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, man. Immediately, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, oh, shit, is this really going to go south? I certainly hope not. But it stopped, and it never threatened again for the rest of the day, so that was the positive. And we walk into the track. Obviously, got a couple pictures taken, you know, near that big Bristol pylon right there. And then they have a big-ass thing. Goes, it's Bristol, baby. Yeah, that's right. Got a picture there, too. That's real nice and cute. Went to the ticket center. Got that took like 20 minutes to get a beautiful printed-out picture. I'm going to post a picture of that right here. Look at fucking Kyle Busch. Are you kidding me? God damn his face. Ugh. At least I get to keep that forever and laugh at it. But, yeah. So, yeah, we get into the track, and listen, the entire day I was struggling horribly for cell phone reception. And, you know, I've been to a variety of tracks, so I know that it can be bad. There's obviously many people there, so it's no real surprise that you struggle because everybody's fighting to be on data and 4G and LTE and all sorts of shit. But let me just say, Bristol is by far the worst experience that I have ever had with cell phone reception. It was comical. And, you know, I went and I sat in my seat, and it started working again. I'm like, okay, finally. And then the race started. Nothing. Dead. I could not connect. I mean, I wanted to share the experience with you guys, you know, as I was experiencing it live. Share some pictures, do our normal thing like we do in our chat, and I couldn't do that. I had no damn reception. Like, are you kidding me? And, you know, so I'm a part of this NASCAR fan council or whatever, and they allow us to share our opinions and thoughts after each and every race. So, you know, it's nice to do that, whether I have a positive or negative thought. So, you know, when you attend races, you can check that box, and I did. And one of the questions eventually in this little questionnaire was, how did you enjoy the Bristol Wi-Fi? I'm like, Wi-Fi? There was no fucking Wi-Fi. Are you kidding me? LOL. Absolute joke. Oh, God damn it. Bristol, you guys really have to work on that. But, enough about that shit. Got to the track. Of course, did you really believe I was going to sit in the seat I bought? That's for suckers. Yeah, no, I never do that, ever. And obviously there was plenty of opens. We sat way high up. You'll see the pictures up in turn 3. Great seat. You obviously could see every single thing. It was just a phenomenal feeling walking through. and getting right out into the open and into the stands, it was like, damn, that, you know, that atmosphere. I always love that feeling. You get this like adrenaline rush, and that happens no matter where you go. And I've been to a variety of places to know that feeling, but I truly believe that this was the greatest feeling, like that. The rush was better here at Bristol than anywhere else. Although I still do prefer Martinsville. I just love that place, but you can't go wrong with Bristol. So obviously, you know, the race was extremely enjoyable. Everything about it, it was awesome. And it was just also a range of emotions throughout the entire thing. Like Kyle Busch, that whole freaking thing. Like I was standing up cheering. It's time to post some videos here. I got a little rowdy myself. Yeah, I did. I was very happy. It was, like I said, it went from being super happy, and then you forgot about him for a while, and then it was like, oh my god, he might actually have a chance to win this. Like, it was crazy seeing that car so wounded, and yet I knew he was running lap times quicker. I'm like, well, hope the hell he never gets back on the lead lap. And then he did, and it was like, oh my god, he might win this thing, and then he got crashed again. It was like, yes, thank you, Jesus, you answered my prayer. And, yeah, that's pretty much it, really. It was just a great experience. Took forever to get out of the track, obviously. Trip back was pretty easy going, standard shit. Just a really good experience. Obviously, I gotta recommend it. If you've never been, definitely go. If you get the opportunity to do so, I will go back. I really want to do it again next year. I think I want to be there for a day race this time. But it was definitely cool to get to experience my first Bristol time as a night race. So that's obviously awesome. Really happy that Chase Elliott ran well too. Thought he was going to get a win there, but wasn't meant to be because the pit crew, decided to have hot dogs every time there was a pit stop, and didn't want to gain any spots all night. But again, I can't say it enough. Bristol is awesome. It's Bristol, baby. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Certainly
Bristol, baby.
I think we already said that, but thank you, Kane.
Well, I was trying to imitate Dale, but he's the one that coined that famous phrase. So.
Did he?
Okay, yeah.
He was
But,
the coiner?
When he won, after he won there in 04, yep.
He was the coiner of the phrase?
I believe it.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly glad you enjoyed it, and I think I speak for everyone when I say, thank you, Mother Nature!
Yes. Oh,
yeah!
my God. I don't even want to think about if it would have rained out, so it was a big sigh of relief. And hey, we got it all in one shot, no interruptions, so that's a big positive. And we'll just be thankful for that. We got a great show. So, what more could you really ask for?
Can't think of anything.
Hell no. I think that covers it. Let's move on. Bristol! Baby!
Yeah!
Well, the trucks raced in Bristol this weekend, and you know damn well what that means. Where did Cody Coughlin finish? Oh, Cody started 15th, finished 19th. -2 laps. Oh my god, things keep getting worse for our favorite meatball sub. Let's see what he had to say. I was very hopeful going into tonight's race at Bristol. We spent a lot of time off track trying to put together a plan for the race. I was really hoping to have a chance to win, but unfortunately it just wasn't our night. Like every other night? This has become the most hilarious thing about Cody. Now all of a sudden they're putting together plans, and he feels like he has to tell the fans, I'm going to use that term loosely here, he has to tell them about this plan they've got. What is it, Cody? Because clearly you and Jer aren't putting it together very well. So actually, let's go back to the whiteboard. Jer, did you guys do well? No, you didn't do well. Hold on a sec. He's adding another option. Hell no. No, they did not do well. Hell no. Man, you guys really did bad this weekend. Good luck on that. And also, you didn't make the chase. No surprises there. Better luck next year. Jags!
Jags!
They actually have a paper plan. I mean, and they just need to use it for toilet paper or start a fire. Maybe make marshmallows.
Maybe you won't know the plan until you watch his movie.
God bless the broken road.
Maybe
God bless the broken plan. Okay, now it's time to hand out some awards for the Bristol race weekend, and leading it off with a real bad night. Nick, what was it?
It was a real bad night. In fact, it was a night from hell! And it goes to none other than Kyle Busch. On lap 2, he spun himself off of Ryan Blaney and caused a big pile-up. He rebounded, actually, in that damaged car, got all the way up to the top 5, and then basically dumped Martin Truex Jr. It was an accident, but he still turned him and caused some controversy. And then he still kept chugging along, and we were starting to worry that he was going to win, but then he got sandwiched into the wall really late in the race and spun out. Haha, Kyle. I know we were happy, and so was Tyler.
Fuck you, Kyle!
And he ended up finishing 20th. And really, it was like a weekend from hell because he cut a tire early in the Xfinity race, too. And then we got this amazing meme out of it.
And then, I don't know, 2-3 laps later, it blew out.
And for these guys, it was actually a broken A-arm that had them in the evening from there.
Man, he just had like the worst weekend you could have. But like I said earlier, he still put on a heck of a show. It wouldn't have been the same without him. So, next award.
The next award is the
Straight Jacket Award!
and it goes to Gray Galding, who was in the number 99 Starcom entry. That stupid ass was involved in the big old lap 2 wreck. I mean, are you kidding me, Gray? He started 38, so that basically means he's running last. And yet the guy who started third that spun out in front of the field, he managed to plow into him. And he plowed into McDowell and somebody else too. I don't even want to look at it again. It makes me so, salty. It's, so cringeworthy. Gray, you must be freaking crazy if you think you're going to be in the back of the pack and not use your goddamn brakes. No wonder everybody thinks you're a scrub, because you are a goddamn scrub when you do shit like that.
Well, that 99 still ain't lifting. The dude that started last hit Kyle.
God damn it! Enjoy your last place finish, bitch! Next award.
All right, the next awards are the cigars, and we got 3 this week, 1 from each series. The first one goes to Parker Kligerman in the Truck Series race. He drove Charlie Henderson's number 75 Food Country USA Chevrolet to a 4th place finish. So you get a cigar. Parker, congratulations. All right, next cigar, please.
Yes, that is our Xfinity cigar, and it goes to Michael Annette. He finished 7th. His first top 10 of the year.
7th.
Holy mother of God! He finished in the top 10! I mean, he hasn't had a top 10 in over a year. Not even just this season. I can't believe it. Well, that might be his only one of the year, but at least he got one. Next cigar.
Our final cigar has got to go to Kurt Busch.
He's got really weird hair.
He won the race, had a great run out there. He broke a long winless streak of 58 races. It was his first win since the 2017 Daytona 500. It was his 6th win at Bristol and first win of the season. But man, he was also one of those that was in the lap 2 pile-up, but he basically escaped. Like Kane said, it's going to be a great race to win diecast, and I'm just happy for him. I mean, he's one of those guys where you don't really know how many more wins he's going to have, kind of like in late Matt Kenseth kind of stages from last year, and who knows what the future holds, but hopefully he's going to end it on a high note. So that does it for the cigars. And I believe we have one more award, and oh man, talk about the meltdown of all meltdown kind of weekends. Who does it go to?
Oh, who do you think it goes to? It goes to Kyle Busch! Oh my God! Oh, Kyle! Oh, he was all salted up because he lost the Xfinity race! he led the first 69 laps, and then he cut down a tire and he hit the wall and ended up finishing 36th. Oh, it was such a hard day for him. He tried so hard, and he said he touched the wall because the fucking rubber that builds up sucked me into it. fucking killed, probably. I don't know. Oh, Kyle, did the racetrack give your car a boo-boo? Well, maybe you shouldn't be driving up there. You big NOS energy drink crybaby son of a bitch.
Oh, Kyle, your big old crying towel extends to the cup race. Oh, my God. Your terrible night, which we've already talked about too much, but it was so bad. And you were even salty after the race in your post-race interview going, oh, what positives, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Dave Burns.
I don't know if there was any highs. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm back through the field.
That's just me.
Oh, you kind of had a little bit of an attitude there, Kyle. You salty white chocolate M&M son of a bitch. But that's not all. We still got a dishonorable crying bib for this particular fan.
Oh, man. So after the race, Kyle's actually being a good guy. He calmed down. He's signing some autographs. And this one dude, who I guess isn't where he's supposed to be, he jumps a fence or gets through security or whatever. He goes up and confronts Kyle. He's like, I don't want no autograph. I want to kick your ass. And then Kyle stands up, and then that guy drops his tough guy act, and Kyle just goes right back at him like he should. Kyle didn't do anything wrong there. And it was only after Kyle's PR lady intervenes and says, like, hey, police guys, look at what's happening here. Then they got involved and broke up the mess, and then everyone got back to their normal business. But, come on. How dumb do you have to be to confront a driver who is obviously a little bit taller than you after the race? It's one of those guys that's just going to ruin it for everyone. And obviously, this brings us back to another incident, and this guy might be related for all we know, from Martinsville. Do you know Santa?
Santa!
Kyle,
You're dirty!
Hey, Kyle, you're a dirty veteran.
Bristol is partly in Southern Virginia, which is where Martinsville is, and, well, this guy likes fight JGR drivers, so who knows?
The guy that gave Santa the hot passes in the first place, that was probably the guy that confronted Kyle there at Bristol, so small world, let's just go ahead. Let's just make that the backstory. I don't care. I think it's hilarious, actually. I would certainly never do that personally because that would just be stupid and you could potentially put yourself in jail. But hey, watching some other dumbass make a fool out of themselves, go ahead. I'm all for it.
It all makes sense, though. It's one of Santa's elves. He got loose.
You should be making toys, you big crybaby. Why don't you go ahead and make yourself a bib and then wear it? I think we covered that pretty well.
Oh, we covered it.
Yeah.
Like Cody covers that meatball sub with his mouth.
Goddamn. Now, take a look at the best paint schemes of the week. Enjoy the montage. Okay, now it's time to recap the fantasy results and picks from Bristol. And I come home with the win after picking Ryan Blaney, who finished 7th and got me 46 points. Kane comes home in 2nd, picking Eric Jones, who finished the best out of all of us in 5th, but was only able to get 39 points. Damani picked Brad Keselowski, who finished 16th and got 21 points. And Nick rounds out the rear, because he loves to suck, picking Kyle Busch, who finished 20th and only got 17 points. So now we make our selection for Darlington, the throwback weekend, the good old Southern 500. So Nick, make your selection.
Well, it should be kind of obvious. He's won 7 times this year. He's going to win an 8th. Kevin Harvick. Damani.
Fuck Kyle Busch. Fuck it.
Thank you, Damani.
Thank you, Damani. Kane, who's your pick?
Well, you guys are picking the big 3, so I might as well do the same. I'll pick Martin Truex Jr. won here in 2016, and he almost won here in 2017 if it weren't for that flat tire, and then Denny Hamlin going and winning his cucumbered up race car. So yeah, MTJ for the win. Tyler, who's your pick?
Well, I'm going to take a swing, since obviously I don't have a big three to choose from, but I'm going to choose the winner of the Bristol race, Kurt Busch.
Well, fucking.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about picking him even before he won this race, because I love that paint scheme that he's going to run. I just feel like, they were close, kind of like knocking on the door. Like, he was just up there, and I don't know. Maybe the mile and a halves aren't his strong suit, but I still think that they could be up there for some solid points. And now, getting that win at Bristol, that could swing some momentum their way. So, it looks even better now than it originally would have. I think he's going to get some redemption in that paint scheme. He got second there in the best NASCAR race of all time in 2003. I think he can win. Kurt Busch is my pick for Darlington.
Well, this has been another episode of Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. We're done. The show's over. Go home. Why are you still here? For Damani HD, whatever, I'm done talking about him. For Probo 43, he's busy living out our dreams. For Kane Jr. 88 and myself, Thermite 917, we are insanely jealous, but still very happy that it was a great weekend of racing. You have been behind the wall, like a lot of drivers at Bristol. Thank you for listening.
But hey, stick around. There's some outtakes.
Man, it's been a while since I've done an intro. I hope I don't botch it.
Oh, wow. That would definitely not be a first.
No, in a couple of weeks we're going to the Southern 500.
Okay, whatever.
Or the Mountain Dew Southern 500.
I didn't actually mean.
Bad.
I didn't mean the next upcoming race.
Oh, I actually did. I saw the trailer on his Instagram. He actually plays a soldier in the movie.
Oh.
I saw him. I saw Cody, and he was wearing army fatigues, and he was riding in the front seat of a Humvee or a Jeep or whatever. So.
The next award is. The next award is
doing the straight jacket.
Yes.
Straight Jacket Award.
Premature.
Back that up.
Yep.
Technical difficulties. Well, it's gotta go to Kurt Busch. The better Busch. Can't bite a bush better than a... Wait, that didn't sound right.
Holy fuck.
Wow. Did you have a seizure there, Thermite?
It sounded better in my head.
Can't bite a bush.
Right.
I mean, that... I don't know. I don't know about that right now.
Our final cigar.
I think that's awesome how we just managed to bring up Cody Coughlin again at the end of the awards segment, because Cody doesn't win anything.
He won our hearts.
Always dear and near. And I'm gonna stop talking, so we'll see you in a bit.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, I guess.
We'll be back with our normal, regularly scheduled programming here in a moment.
Here's the latest single from Kane.
Yeah, I remember when God damn, Kane.
Bristol.
Colosseum. I heard Spartacus won here a couple thousand years ago. That was a hell of a fight.
His chariot was too low.
His fucking chariot got encumbered in 1000 BC.
Back then, they actually just gave you a cucumber.
Yeah. Back then, they didn't have wheel arches to paint black either.
Oh, they found a way.
They still found a way to cheat up the tech. You know what they were doing. They were hollowing out those spokes. They were doing some cheeky shit. Cheated up chariots. Colosseum cocksuckers.
Man, this chariot paint scheme sucks. Who painted it? Brendan Drapo, the senior?
You fucking... It was so good. Like, you built that fucking thing up and then you just cringed it. You cringed the fuck out of that, man.
Man, this chariot paint scheme is awful. Who painted it? The great-great-great-great-grandfather of Brennan Drapo?
You could have just called him Brendan the Great Drapo.
The Great Drapo.
I mean, that's what they would have been called back then, or something like a...
Drapo the Great?
Drapo... God damn it, yes!